Okay, okay. Yeah, we have to read it. Okay, okay. So, Achanaji, you are
Yes, Rangadan.
normally
Yes.
first choice one because you
Yeah.
may go again. Yeah, read it.
Yes. But the development of the separative distinction could not stop here. It had to go to its logical extreme. Since the knowledge of the one is knowledge and the knowledge of the many is ignorance, there can be, in a rigidly analytic and dialectical view, nothing but pure opposition between the things denoted by the two terms. There is no essential unity between them, no reconciliation possible. Therefore, Vidya alone is knowledge, Avidya is pure ignorance. And if pure ignorance takes a positive form, it is because it is not merely a not knowing of truth, but a creation of illusions and delusions, of seemingly real unrealities, of temporarily valid falsehoods. Obviously, then, the object matter of avidya can have no true and abiding existence. The many are an illusion. The world has no real being. Undoubtedly, it has a sort of existence while it lasts, as a dream has, or the long continued hallucination of a delirious or a demented brain, but no more. The one has not become and can never become many. The self has not and cannot become all these existences. Brahman has not manifested and cannot manifest a real world in itself. It is only the mind or some principle of which mind is a result that thrusts names and forms upon the featureless unity, which is alone real, and being essentially featureless cannot manifest real feature and variation. Or else, if it manifests these things, then that is a temporal and temporary reality which vanishes and is convicted of unreality by the illumination of true knowledge.
Very interesting paragraph, and it is not Srim's view. Okay, it is he is telling you that when you are at a lower level, this seems to be the reality. Now, yesterday Yasmin was not there, so I'll just in very short, I'll tell you what we read last time, Yasmin. Okay, so because he is describing the phenomenon of seeing the physical world as unreal. Is that basically a fact or is it not a fact? Okay, I keep repeating so that it becomes very, very real to myself as well as to you. Okay, because it's so contradictory and sometimes puzzling. That's all. So, what he's saying is that the world is not unreal. In fact, all the levels from the subconscious and the inconscient right up to the superconscious is all real. Okay? There is no unreality anywhere. Yet, there is a gradation of consciousness, and that gradation you can interpret in many ways. That's exactly what he's saying. So he looks at the first of all, he goes to the Vedas, and then in the Vedas, what we read yesterday, and there they have used the words Vidya and Avidya. So, what is Vidya and Avidya? Normally, you would say Vidya is knowledge, that which is you are seeing the reality, and Avidya is that which is ignorance. But now from highest point of view, if you see, these terms can be misleading because they are only names. There is no question of any value given to it. So you should not take ignorance as something negative value. You should not take the oneness, the vidya, as something positive value. Everything has got positive from a certain angle, and everything has got a different view at the lower level. Okay, so this is what he is basically saying. So in the vidya and avidya are only terms. Like I can call you Yasmin, but there is no question of any value attached to that. It's only a name, nomenclature. Okay, so when you say ignorance, it's a nomenclature. There is no value attached to it. Okay, just like we have a name to identify the state of consciousness. So when you use the word avidya, it is used in the sense of seeing the many. That's all. There's no negativity in it. And if you see the one, the vidya, that is seeing the one. Because the divine wants to see it different ways. So there's no question of negativity. Yet, when you come down to the practical level and you see that there is a negative connotation given to it by the human mind. Because the human mind, when he is seeing the many and does not see the reality, he wants to see the reality. Because like the divine who is seeing everything at one time, we are not seeing everything at one time. We are only stationing ourselves only at one particular stage of consciousness. It may be high, it may be low, it may be in the middle, it may be so many things. And we are open only to that. We can enlarge our consciousness and make it wider and include many other planes. But that is very difficult and it can be done through yoga, but that's not easy. So this is the first thing that he realized. Then he says that when the Shankaras revived the Vedanta philosophy in the 8th century, the word Maya came into the picture. And Maya, the normal consciousness of man in India, they interpreted it as something negative. Okay. So that is the interesting part. Good morning, Gitanjali. So this is what he is saying. Now,
good morning, Nagata.
Yeah, good morning. So now what he's saying is, he is looking at the other aspect. Okay. So on the one hand, he has told us that there is really no difference. There's only a gradation between the highest and the lowest. It's only a question of nomenclature. You are calling this, and you are calling that. I can call a lion, and I can call a tiger, but I'm not giving any values to it. I am not saying lion is superior to the tiger. Okay, they are only names. That's exactly what he's saying here also. This inconscient and the subconscient are only names because they are all different aspects of the divine. Now he comes to the other aspect. When we are at the lower level, is there really a distinction? Yes, there is a distinction for you, not for the divine. Okay. It's for the ignorance. The ignorance is the one that making you see things in a different way. So this is the whole chapter we are going to, the paragraph we are going to read now is the explanation of the difference. He has told you about the oneness of things. Now he is going to tell you the difference. So I am reading each sentence and you see what he is saying. So how complicated it is, we can see. But the development of the separative distinction, pay attention to the word separative distinction. The one and the many are different at the lower level. They are not the same at the lower level. At the higher level, as you go, you see that essentially they are the same. Okay, the views changes. Now, the development of the separative distinction could not stop here. It did not stop with the word Mayavada. It went to its logical extreme. Yes, now he is describing the whole thing here in this paragraph, the logical extreme, which was interpreted. The world is unreal, the world is negative, the world is false, there is no freedom here, there is perversion, ignorance, darkness, cruelty, suffering. It became that, okay? Because you can see all these things also in a different way, and that's exactly what Shri is describing in the Life Divine. What you are seeing as negative is not really negative from the higher level of consciousness. It is real only at the lower level. Okay. So it had to go to its logical extreme. What had to go? The separative distinction. The one and the many are not the same. The knowledge and the ignorance are not the same. They are opposites. Okay. That's what is now. He has told you just the opposite in the previous para. Now he is telling you the difference at the lower level. Could not stop here. It had to go to its logical extreme. Since the knowledge of the one is knowledge and the knowledge of the many is ignorance, note the words, interesting. The knowledge of the one is knowledge. The second word knowledge, you could put it in inverted commas. It's like saying the knowledge of the one is knowledge. The word knowledge in the second one is nomenclature only, name. And the knowledge of the many is ignorance. Ignorance again is nomenclature. Okay. There can be, in a rigidly analytical and dialectical view, nothing but pure opposition between the things denoted by the two terms. Note the word denoted. It's only a denotation. It's a nomenclature. You are giving a name to it without any. But now there is a pure opposition. If you look at it from a rigidly analytic and dialectical view. And where can you get the rigidly dialectical and analytical view? At the lower level. At level 1, it is analytic and dialectical. Dialectical means dialectical, it has nothing to do with dialect. A dialect is a language which has no script. Okay. So,
Like tautology.
Pardon?
Tautology.
Okay. So, this is what he's saying. At the lower level, there is a difference. Rigidly analytic, because at the higher level, there is no analysis, there is only synthesis, and there is no dialectical. Dialectical means I am seeing one view and I am seeing the opposite view, and I get to a compromise between the two. That's a dialectical arguments. Okay, so it is there at the lower level, opposites. Nothing but pure opposition between things denoted by the two terms. The language is very clear to be able to understand the words. The word denotes means I am giving a name to it without any value. Okay. But at the lower level, I am also ascribing a value to it. Suffering and pain and ignorance is negative. It is bad. To make it sound very simple. At the higher level, they are only different aspects of the same thing. They are not really opposites. Okay. So, nothing but pure opposition between the things denoted by the two terms. There is no essential unity between them. So, essential unity is not there. But the forms are different. That's what it means. There's an essentiality and there's an outward form. The forms are completely different. And if you are seeing only the forms, then naturally you will say they are opposites. But if you start seeing, just 1 minute, my phone is ringing, just 1 minute. Yeah, sorry for the interruption. So, this is what he's saying. Now, he's saying there's no essential unity. The word essential is interesting. Essentially, they are the same. But formally, in the form, they are different. Again, like ice, water, water vapor, the forms are all different. And yet, they are all essential, essence in the water. Okay? So, this is what he's saying, that they seem to be different in the forms, but they are essentially the same. But here, when you are seeing, there is no essential unity because you are seeing the forms only. Okay. At the lower level, there is no essential unity between them. Therefore, vidya alone is knowledge. Avidya is pure ignorance. There is no gradation between them if you are at the lower level. And this is the interpretation given by the 8th century AD Shankara, which was misinterpreted very clearly. Why he is misinterpreted? Because he is using the word Maya, but he never said that the world is unreal. How could he have said that when he is admitting very clearly the truth of all the Upanishads? Sarvam khalu idam Brahman. Everything is here is the Brahman. So how can he be considered a Mayavadi? Total misrepresentation. Anyway, now the time has come to reverse that understanding of Shankara. Okay. Therefore, avidya alone is knowledge. Now it has become alone. And avidya is pure ignorance. And if pure ignorance takes a positive form, it is because it is not merely a not knowing of truth, but a creation of illusions and delusions, of seemingly real unrealities, of temporarily valid falsehoods. This sentence is very interesting. Let's have a look at what he's saying. Okay. So, therefore, vidya alone is knowledge. That's very clear. And avidya is pure ignorance. Now, note the word pure. Only ignorance, nothing else. Okay. And if pure ignorance takes a positive form, now what does it mean? In other words, it becomes pure with only ignorance in it. There's no knowledge at all. Okay. So, takes a positive form in the positive used in a very interesting way. He is saying that the ignorance becomes full. That's what he means by positive. Don't think positive means in the usual what we understand, good. It's not in the sense of good. It's in the sense of absolute purity. The ignorance is only ignorance. Okay. It's a positive. If it takes a positive form, in other words, it is absolutely the negative of the supreme. That's what it means. It is because it is not merely a not knowing of truth. It's not an absence of truth, but it's the opposite of truth. But a creation of illusions and delusions of seemingly real unrealities. So, real unrealities and temporarily valid falsehoods. Look very carefully and you will see what he's saying. Okay, so real unrealities, valid falsehoods. Okay, the falsehood that you are seeing, that the physical world is full of suffering and evil and perversion and ignorance, is real to you. But from another level, it is not real. So this is what he's saying. The real, unreal, and temporarily, when you are in the lower consciousness, the falsehood is valid for you. You have to get rid of them. You can't confuse between the several levels. Again, we come back to a very easy understanding of things. Laws in different countries are all different. Okay, in USA, the laws are different from the laws in India, and they are two different countries. So the matter, life of the world of matter, the world of life, the world of mind, the world of higher mind, element mind, intuitive mind, supermind, overmind, all different laws. And the view of things also changes according to that. There is another way of looking at it. Your instrumentation with which you are looking at the reality goes on changing. You are at the lower level, you are using broken spectacles and you see the many. Then as you keep climbing higher and higher, your spectacles become not broken, but only with cracks. Then you see half-truths. Then when you go up, your spectacles, like my spectacles now, clear. So you see the whole. So this is what he's saying. Okay, depending on which level you are, you will see things in a different way. Okay, so the pure ignorance is positive. In other words, it is absolute ignorance. Positive, don't interpret. Okay, so I'm just using very interesting language. If pure ignorance takes a positive form, what does it mean? Not that it becomes knowledge. He is saying if pure ignorance takes a positive form, it's absolute ignorance. Okay, you can misinterpret the word. Okay, so be very careful not to misinterpret the word. If pure ignorance takes a positive form, becomes absolutely ignorance, it is because it is not merely an absence of truth, not knowing of truth, but the creation of illusions and delusions and seemingly unreal unrealities. Very interesting language, and Srindra is expressing itself beautifully. I hope it is clear. It's very interesting. Okay, so temporarily valid falsehoods. So long as you are in the physical world, suffering is real. You can't say it is not real. Okay, but when you go up, you see that, oh, what I thought was real is not so real as I thought it to be. Okay, I'm seeing a stone and I'm thinking it is absolutely real. Okay, I can take that stone in my hand and throw it at somebody. It will have a fantastic effect in the physical world. Okay, I can break somebody's head with it. And when I go up, I see it's only a form. It's not the reality. Okay. So this is what he's saying. Interesting words he's saying. Real unrealities, temporarily valid falsehoods. It is temporary because when you go to another level of consciousness, that validity of the falsehood disappears. It starts becoming different. Obviously, then the object matter of avidya, obviously then the object matter of avidya can have no true or abiding existence. So the forms in the physical world, if you are here, you see that they are only temporary and they can never have a abiding existence. They cannot be eternally true. Abiding, eternal. No true and abiding existence. Every form in the physical world disappears. But the material with which it is made never disappears. It goes on changing only. Matter remains the same, just like your body. Okay? Matter is creating your body. Rather, it is universal nature which is creating your body. But the body changes and goes back into matter. So matter is real, but the body is unreal. And you are seeing the bodies only and thinking they are real. That's not a very correct way of looking at things. Obviously then, the object matter of avidya can have no true and abiding existence. The many are an illusion. No, this is not Srindra's philosophy. He is talking of the interpretation by the later Vedanta of the 8th century, where you are misinterpreting the word Maya. Okay, so the many are an illusion. The world has no real being. This is the conclusion you come to. If you misunderstand the words, okay, and give a value to them. At a higher level, you are not giving any value, you are using only nomenclatures, you are using only names for identifying things. Undoubtedly, it has a sort of existence while it lasts. So when it is in existence, it has some sort of validity, as a dream has, or the long continued hallucination, or the delirious or demented brain, but no more. Okay, it is temporary reality. The one has not become and can never become many. This is the conclusion you come to if you are in the lower level. Okay, this is what you conclude. And that's what the ascetic is concluding and disappearing. Why should I bother about the many, which is unreal? The self has not and cannot become all the existences. Not Srinivas's view, the view of the lower, okay, the view of the, if you want, the ascetic. Brahman has not manifested and cannot manifest a real world in itself. It's not possible. Brahman is real. How can the real become unreal? Not possible. That's their interpretation. But Srinivas's view, Brahman is real and he is so free that he can even seem to create unreality. Why should you stop him from creating unreality? Then you are limiting him. That is the way of looking at things from the higher level. Brahman has not manifested and cannot manifest a real world in itself because it is pure reality. It is only the mind or some principle of which mind is a result that thrusts names and forms upon the featureless unity, which is alone real and being essentially featureless cannot manifest real feature and variation. This is again the ascetic view. Or else, if it manifests these things, then that's a temporal and temporary reality which vanishes and is convicted of unreality by the illumination of true knowledge. So, the Mayavada philosophy says absolute unreality. Shankara comes in and says not absolute unreality, practical unreality. Okay, practical reality or unreality, you can see it in any way. The stone has a practical reality. It is real in time and space. But at the higher level, everything is real without time and space. It is not conditioned by time and space. That means it is eternally true, and at the lower level, it is temporarily true. This is what he's saying in the. So it's a very subtle philosophy, and Srinivasa gives full credit to Shankara. He says he has marvelously explained, and Srinivasa himself is explaining even better. Okay, but you have to go through each word. You have to understand what he's saying. So essentially, it's clear. I'll summarize it for you. He is saying that there is a substance, and that substance at the highest level is absolutely real, and it is one. At the lower level, it seems to become the many, and it can be seen as unreal, but it is real in time and space. There is no time and space on top, and below there is time and space, and you are seeing it from that level. If you are seeing it from the lower level, you will see it as real. You go to the middle level of the spiritual planes of consciousness, you see that what you thought is real, that means permanently real, is not permanently real. But there is an essence, that essential Satchidananda is hiding itself behind the forms. And you are seeing only the forms at the lower level and thinking that they are real. But the forms are not really real in that sense, because they disappear. They are temporary reality. And Shankara uses the words Vyavaharika Satta and Paramarthika Satta. Paramarthika, Param Artha, real in the true sense, the highest sense. But Vyavaharika, practical reality. Okay? Practical reality and essential reality. So this is what Shankara is giving, and he gives full credit to Shankara in other places, not here. So clear? He is examining knowledge and ignorance. I come back. And why is he examining knowledge and ignorance? Because they, Mayavadins, are saying the world is unreal, and therefore they don't want here, they want only the Brahman. But Sri Aurobindo is saying, I have a different view. I am saying that even the physical world is essentially real. The forms may not be real, but the divine is here. And there's an evolution. So why not we participate in God's work and make the evolution go to one step more nearer to reality? Let it explain, let it manifest the reality, and we should participate in that adventure. That's what he said. Okay? Clear? So you have to think about it. And I have tried my best to explain what he's saying. It's not very difficult once you get the basic idea. Okay? There's a gradation. That idea of gradation is very important. Okay? So we have 15 minutes more. Actually, 16 minutes. Okay. So shall we read the next one? Unless if any of you have any doubts or any questions, again we can discuss that. Okay. But this is a very important paragraph where he is explaining the world's unreality is not the question. It is the way you are seeing that is the problem. And what is the way you are seeing? Depends at which level you are. That's all. If you are at the ground floor, you will see certain things. You will see only the roads and the traffic going on in the roads. You go to the terrace or you go to the skyscraper on the terrace, you will see the whole town. You are seeing something totally different. Okay. If you are on the ground floor, you will see only things in a different way. You go into space, you will see the whole world. You will see your own, the magnificent image of the earth. You will see from this space station. So depending on where you are stationing yourself, you will see things in a different way. That's basically what he said.
May I request something?
Yes, go ahead.
You know, the last chapter and this chapter
Yeah.
are at least a little difficult to understand according to me.
Acha.
So I think it would be wonderful if you just gave us a synthesis of the whole chapter.
Okay.
You know, like the reality and cosmic illusion.
Yes.
We go into so much detail.
Yes.
But in essence, what you have to know,
Okay.
that would produce a lot of clarity and lucidity in the mind.
Okay.
Rather than going through the great detail. And
You know, Yasmin, I can understand what you are saying, but it is like saying that Sanskrit and Latin are so complicated in their grammar, but you have to, there are many books which say yoga made easy. Okay. So, or Sanskrit made easy in 3 steps. It cannot really be done in 3 steps, because if you do it in 3 steps, there are small details which can be raised up and say, oh, what you're saying, this is contradicting. Anyway, I'll try. I don't think it's very difficult, but I'll try to do it.
or at least, you know, the way you synthesize the paras and give us, even if you give us that, we can
Okay.
just go through that and get a much better idea than
Okay.
all the details. And at least I am not bothered about what the Mayavadins or Buddhists say. I'm only interested in knowing the truth of Sri Aurobindo.
Okay.
So what he says, just accept that. No, the other is so confusing what they are saying. So like you go, I know that for Sri Aurobindo, this is a very comprehensive view so that nobody can argue with him.
Okay.
Okay. But we are not going to argue with him. We just want his view of what is what, period.
Okay. I'll try. Okay.
I don't know how the others feel, but this is what I feel.
Okay.
I think that comparative is important, because what is not Sri Aurobindo is also important to understand what is Sri Aurobindo. So that is why a comparative thing always widens the mind and gives us that subtle differences,
Yes, that's right. If you make it a very summarize the whole thing in 5-6 sentences, the details will escape. Okay. So anyway, as Jasmine is saying, there is a validity to what she's saying. So naturally, I'll try and do that. Okay. I'll try and do that, and I'll put it on Skype. Okay. I'll put it on the chat. I'll try and do that. But I'll tell you one thing. The workload is going on increasing. Okay. Now we have added one more in the evening YouTubes. Then the Mother India work also is going on increasing, and many people are referring things to me. So just now I got a phone call again. Somebody is referring and wanted to see me. So it may take some time. What I mean is it may take some time, but I'll do it. Okay. Because I find it also a very interesting thing, and I have to see whether I can satisfy Yasmin. Okay, I'll try and do it. I promise.
Merci beaucoup.
Okay, okay. So let's read. We have still time, so let's read the next para. Okay. So our view of the ultimate reality. Okay. So, shall we read that? Who will read? Gitanjali has come today, and she is normally not there. Do you have the text, Gitanjali?
Rangada, actually, the reason I could not join is my laptop has crashed.
Acha, okay.
So I am only connecting from the phone. I don't have the text.
Acha, acha. Okay, so then we'll go on to Archanadi has just read. So Yasmin, maybe you can read.
Yes, please.
Okay, go ahead. Our view.
Our view of the ultimate reality and of the true nature of Maya has compelled us to depart from these later fine excesses of the dialectical intellect and return to the original Vedantic conception. While giving every tribute to the magnificent fearlessness of these extreme conclusions, to the uncompromising logical force and equity of these speculations, inexpugnable so long as the premises are granted, admitting the truth of two of the main contentions, the sole reality of the Brahman and the fact that our normal conceptions about ourselves and world existence are stamped with ignorance, are imperfect, are misleading. We are obliged to withdraw from the hold so powerfully laid by this conception of Maya on the intelligence. But the obsession of this long established view of things cannot be removed altogether so long as we do not fathom the true nature of the ignorance and the true and total nature of the knowledge. For if these two are independent, equal, and original powers of the consciousness, then the possibility of a cosmic illusion pursues us. If ignorance is the very character of cosmic existence, then our experience of the universe, if not the universe itself, becomes illusory. Or if ignorance is universe, if not the universe, no, sorry, or if ignorance is not the very grain of our natural being, but still an original and eternal power of consciousness, then while there can be a truth of cosmos, it may be impossible for a being in the universe, while he is in it, to know its truth. He can only arrive at real truth by passing beyond mind and thought, beyond the world formation, and viewing all things from above in some supracosmic or supercosmic consciousness, like those who have become of one nature with the eternal and dwell in him, unborn in the creation and unafflicted by the cataclysmic destruction of the worlds below them. But the solution of this problem cannot be satisfactorily pursued and reached on the basis of an examination of words and ideas or a dialectical discussion. It must be the result of a total observation and penetration of the relevant facts of consciousness. Both these of the surface and those below or above our surface level or below our frontal surface, and a successful fathoming of their significance.
Yeah. Okay. There is a very interesting sentence here, which is actually seems to be addressed to Yasmin. Okay. What he's saying, but the solution of this problem cannot be satisfactorily pursued and reached on the basis of an examination of words and ideas or a dialectical discussion. It must be the result of a total observation. So unless we have a total observation, we will not be able to understand the truth of being said. Okay, so that's what he's saying. Anyway, we'll try and do that, because there is, even in our mental understanding of things, it is ignorance basically, and yet there can be some sort of formulation of words which indicate the truth. We'll try and do that. Okay, so very interesting paragraph what he's saying, and we will have what he's saying. Okay, so we have 6 minutes more, so we can start looking at it. We can redo next time if you want, but we'll look at what he's saying. Okay, so, but the developed, no, sorry, this is not this one that we read just now. So our view. So note the word our view. You have to stress the word our. Our view means Sri Aurobindo's view. Okay, the integral view is different. Okay, this is what he's saying. Our view of the ultimate reality, not the reality in the physical world, not the temporary reality, but the ultimate reality, and of the true nature of Maya, what is really Maya, not the misinterpretation, has compelled us to depart from these later fine excesses of the dialectical intellect and return to the original Vedantic conception. So now, let's see what he's saying. Our view, we have to make a difference between the later fine excesses. Later refers to the Advaita philosophy as expounded by Shankara in the 8th century AD, later. Whereas the Vedic one says, I want to go back to the original Vedantic, which is the Vedas, 5,000 years earlier. That's what he's saying. And also later, but note the word very fine excess. It's an oxymoron. The excesses are normally not fine at all, they're very gross. Okay, but here they're saying fine excesses. In other words, it is very subtle. He is praising Shankara actually. Later fine excesses of the dialectical intellect, because Shankara is putting into words. No? He's got, like Srivendra has got 40 volumes, Shankara has all in Sanskrit. Okay, he has got 14 volumes of the collected works of Shankara, and he has commented on everything, Gita, the Upanishads, and Vedas and all. So, and he is a very fine intellect. Srivendra says he is the peak of human intellect. He and he. Okay. So, later fine excesses. Note that it's so subtle and so interesting. The excess, which is the excess? Brahman and the world are opposites. It's an excess. But there's a fine excess. If you go into details, you will see that they are very, very subtle. These excesses are subtle, okay, if you want to go. That's what he's saying. Of the dialectical intellect, the human intellect, where logic is applicable, okay. And it is dialectical means where logic applies and analysis applies, not the synthetic aspect. Synthesis is only at the higher level, analysis is only at the lower level, the cutting up, okay. And return to the original Vedantic conception. Which is the original Vedantic conception? The Vedic conception. There is no essential difference between the higher and the lower. Heaven is our father, the earth is our mother. Okay, they are both quite compatible with each other. That's the original Vedantic conception. The later Vedantic conception is the Maya, which has been the word that is misinterpreted. While giving every tribute to the magnificent fearlessness of these extreme conclusions, he is giving praise to Shankara. Okay, while giving every tribute to the magnificent fearlessness of these extreme conclusions, to the uncompromising logical force and acuity of these perceptions, inexpugnable. Expugnable it means English is a very strange language. You normally pronounce it inexpugnable, but the G is not pronounced. Okay, so just one second. Yeah, that which cannot be overcome. To expunge, okay, capable of being wiped out. So that which cannot be wiped out in that sense, inexpugnable, so long as the premises are granted, admitting the truth of the two main contentions. Which are the two main contentions? One is saying there is no difference between the higher and the lower, and the other one is saying exactly the opposite. These are the two main contentions. One contention, there is only oneness. The other contention, no, there is a division between the higher and the lower. And division is not graded, it is absolutely opposite to each other. Here are the two contentions. The sole reality is the Brahman, and the fact that our normal conceptions about ourselves and world existence are stamped with ignorance, are imperfect, are misleading. We are obliged to withdraw from the hold so powerfully laid by this conception of Maya on our intelligence. This whole sentence, we are obliged to, I cannot agree with the Mayavada philosophy. That's what he is saying. We are, he's saying, I am obliged to withdraw. Okay, he always uses the word we, and we should not take that in a very general, vague way. We means I, okay, my philosophy. We are obliged to withdraw from the hold so powerfully laid by this conception of Maya on the intelligence. He is talking about India. 5,000 years we have been thinking that the world is unreal. Maya, it is unreal. Get away from here. So it's the philosophy of 5,000 years has to be now negated. Okay, and that's not an easy job. That's what he's saying. The hold so powerfully laid on this conception of Maya. Buddhism had a lot to contribute from it, but also the forgetfulness of the Vedas. We completely forgot what the Vedas mean. In fact, today nobody understands it. All others are all trying to understand. But what we remember is that the Vedas are something fantastic. That we remember. The racial memory, the race memory says, yes, the Vedas are fantastic. But what does it mean? I don't know. Okay. Just like there's a very interesting seminar described the racial memory, not an individual memory. The race also has a memory. For instance, the Atlantis, the whole continent which disappeared under the sea is one of the pralayas. Okay. So that we remember that it disappeared. But when it was there, what was its civilization? All those things are not known. It's preserved in the subtle world. It is preserved, and you can also know it. That's why it is. But it's a racial memory. Okay. So we have already gone beyond our time. So we will redo this para. Okay. So Sunki, make a note. We will redo this para. But anyway,
yes, I'll make a note.
Yeah, we are very clearly we are seeing that Sri Aurobindo does not agree with the later Vedantic interpretation of Shankara, but he gives him full credit. But he says one more step. In fact, in another place he says that Buddha says the world is not Buddha. Buddhism says the world is unreal. Shankara says the world is not unreal. It is real in time and space. But if you want the divine in purity, you have to go to the higher level. You can't get it here. That is the implication. Okay. And now Srimad is saying that there is an evolution, and one day, even at the lower level, you will be able to get the divine consciousness. It is possible to get the divine consciousness here also, which the Gita admits. But the Gita does not talk of transformation of the lower. Srimad is now giving the idea of the transformation of the lower. So he says, Shankara should have gone one more step. He took the right step of negating Buddhism and going one step more. Why didn't he go one more step more, which we are doing now? That's what he said. Srimad is going even beyond the Gita. Okay? And he says he doesn't criticize the Gita. He says that at that time, the time was not ripe to really to reveal the truth, which Gita is only hinting at. That's what he says. Okay, we stop here today, and we'll redo this para, our view on page 509. Redo, but the development of the separative distinction. Oh no, sorry. Our view. We have to go from our view. And that is 509 only, but our view. We have to read from there. Okay. Yasmin, I'll try to do what you want. Okay. May not
I
be
feel the divine gives us as much work as we are capable of doing.
Okay.
I'm sure you are capable and you have the time.
I don't know.
So it's a divine feat.
Okay.
Merci
Au revoir.
beaucoup.
Au revoir, everybody.
Thank you,
Have a good
Rangada.
day.